The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. This is Dave Hondel. Really excited tonight. We have a new movie out entitled Dress Code. It's out now on Tubi. And I'm so happy to have with me the writer, Peter Panagos, the director, Joseph Pupello, and we also have the star, Gerard Garilli, with us tonight. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Great to be here.
Absolutely. You know, I want to first of all start because every movie starts with the writing. So I'm going to start with Peter. You know, I guess where did the idea from this, for this story come about? It was a great story, by the way, very touching story. It's a drama thriller. There was a lot of great moments in this movie. But talk about where it all began.
Thank you for saying that. The idea came from Gerard. Gerard and I have known each other quite a long time from the film festival circuit. He had come to me probably, let's say October, the October before COVID. So I guess that's 2019 or 20. I don't even know what years are anymore. I think it's October of 2019 is the October before COVID. And he had this idea for a film, and he kind of gave me the broad strokes. He kind of wanted to blend a mob film into the very, very much up and coming LGBT world of films as well. So kind of blend both genres, which has never really been done before. And I guess from knowing each other for a while, he knew that would kind of pique my interest, both growing up as huge mob fans. And the films they don't really make anymore, and that's kind of unexplored territory within the mafia. So kind of took it from there, and we were ready to pretty much go, and then COVID hit, and then that kind of allowed us to keep working on the script and finding new people. And once he gave me the idea, I just kind of ran with it. I guess secretly I've been wanting to do a film like this for a long time.
Gerard, I'm gonna go to you on this one because I know in the there's a lot of cultures out there, especially Italian is one of them, where something like this might not be looked at as being very favorable when you're growing up, and this is part of the problem where a lot of kids grow up and they end up unfortunately committing suicide or get depression and a lot of things because of that traditional family upbringing doesn't necessarily coincide with what their wants and desires are, I guess, as a person. So talk about that a little bit, because I found that fascinating as far as growing up in that mob mentality. But there's this huge secret that you don't want your parents especially to find out about that. So talk about that.
I think it really blends into what Pete said. We really just wanted to tell a story that was relevant to the times and something that was different, pushing the envelopes, because you see a lot of mob movies and everything is pretty strategic. It's macho. It's like a Goomba kind of like flavor. And there are elements to Dress Code that has that. But I really wanted to try to push the envelope and just do something that was totally relevant to the times. And I feel, based on the reviews we've gotten and some of the awards that we've gotten, which I'm so grateful for, I think we accomplished that pretty successfully.
Yeah, I agree. And Joseph, as a director, and that's the world I come from, and so I want to ask you this question, because with all the success that you've had, as a director, obviously you kind of pull everything together and make it happen on screen. But again, you have to have a huge team in order to do that, and everybody's got to be on the same page. So how did you make that happen? And, obviously to have that success, so all the people that you had on the set, how did you make that happen as a director? Because it's not an easy task.
Yeah, we're in the category of low budget film. So we only had so many people there while filming the project. But Pete and Gerard, also producers on the film, were very active and very supportive. And Pete, if there's something about the script we were unsure about, or was like, maybe we should tweak this a little bit. Pete was quick. He was either on set most of the time or he was a phone call away. So with this team right here, we were all in on this. And then on set, obviously, actors, everyone came, they knew their stuff, and they made it happen. And then we had Andrew Froning came in, and he was DP on the project, did a fantastic job, easy to work with. And that was even surprising because we didn't really know him super well. He was someone that we kind of met up with, and everything just kind of came together and kind of made this magic to make this happen.
And talk about, I live in New Jersey too. So I used to live in North Jersey for a long time. So I'm very familiar with where you filmed, and, and just talking about being a indie filmmaker, Gerard, as being an independent filmmaker, actor, producer, writer yourself, talk about that process, because I think a lot of people that are out there that have ideas that they want to put on screen, but like, I don't have enough money, or I don't have the money. And, sometimes as indie filmmakers, you're never going to have the money. So you do what you got to do with what you have. Right. And, so talk about the spirit of being an indie filmmaker and just actually doing what you think you want to do, but you're actually putting it on screen. So talk about that spirit of being an indie filmmaker.
I just grew up as a lover of film, and, I've been acting now for, I'm going to say, the better half of 11 years. And I've been up for so many auditions, and I've been close to so many things. And I'm still, auditioning and still, putting myself out there. But I just figured, instead of, waiting for that call or that role, putting yourself out there is kind of a world we have to live by now. We have to, even if you got 10 cents, even you got an iPhone, you got an Android, it's so easy now to just make something, even if you're an actor, you got to try to push the envelope and try to make things. Even if it's you got TikTok now, you got Instagram Reels, you got Facebook, YouTube, obviously, even, like anything you can do to just try to create and try to make any form of content even for yourself. Even if 5 people watch it, it's just a very fulfilling feeling to just make things. And this is my 3rd film now, and I'm continuing to learn. This is I feel my best production yet, and I'm still going, and I'm satisfied, but I feel like we could still do better. And I got a great team here with Joe and Pete and Andrew, as Joe just mentioned. But you just got to try to make things. Even if you have $10, like get a tripod, use your iPhone, and make something with your buddies, and just put it out there to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anything you could do.
That's great. Well said, man. Well said. And, Peter, as a writer, I know, the process, I'm not a writer myself, so I'm going to ask you this question. But, as a writer, I know there might be periods where you have, some great ideas and you want to put them down on paper quick. And there might be some times where you might, just have like a writer's block, so to speak. How do you get through that, first of all? And second of all, how much do you collaborate during your writing process, or do you just write it all and then show somebody, or do you bring other people in during your process?
I kind of treat it a little bit like how a comedian treats jokes. My notes thing is always open on my phone. So if I think of something, I have great long-term memory, I have terrible short-term memory. So whether, I'm always kind of thinking, I'm always kind of writing things down on my notepad. So just to make sure I don't forget, it could be a random line that I never use, or it might not even be for dress code. It could be for another project. But if I think of a joke or just a line, I have to write it down. And then right before I do the film, I'll kind of I'll look at my notes, and I'll just take everything that could apply to a project and put it toward that project. And it kind of becomes a checklist when I'm writing the film. Like, oh, did I hit that, joke yet? Did I hit that premise yet? And I kind of treat it like that. I don't like to show people what I'm doing until it's done. Just because very seldomly do I know the ending of something before I do it.
Sure.
I'm not someone who plans out scene to scene. It's kind of one scene gives me the idea for the next scene. I have broad strokes of what's going to happen. So if I show someone, 30 pages, I don't want them to try and push me into the next 30 pages.
It might throw you off into to another area that you're not wanting to go.
Correct. Yeah. I don't really believe in writer's block. I know it's a weird thing for a writer to say. I just kind of think we just sometimes don't know what to write about, or we don't feel like writing.
Sure.
So I always say just write anything. So I'll just sit there and write letters or just write like the rules to blackjack and just anything until something relevant comes onto the page, and eventually it will. If you just keep writing something, eventually what you're writing will make sense.
That makes a lot of sense right there. And Joseph as a director, and this is something that I've experienced. And the first time I did a music video and that showed up on national TV, I actually cried. It was like a spiritual experience for me as a director. So for you, when you go through all this process of doing an indie film and low budget, and you're so passionate about it, and so in the moment when you first time you sat in the theater and watched this, what was your reaction?
I don't think I ever sat in the theater and watched it. Me and Pete usually stand in the back,
okay.
Kind of pacing back and forth, worried about how people are going to react to it. So yeah, that I don't know. But yeah, no, I think going into it, this is my first time directing, so it is a big deal for me to go into this. That wasn't the original plan. Talking it out, we were like, it just made sense for me to direct it. Yeah, I mean, I just seeing it in the theater the first time we did see it, it was pretty cool. I mean, just going and watching it to test it out on the first screen that it was going to be on was a pretty cool experience. So yeah, I don't know. It's same thing like Gerard mentioned before, like we're still learning and stuff. So I'm still like figuring out, I'm not much of a crier. Gerard will tell you.
I'm not either, but when it comes to, and the reason I say that is because I think when you are passionate about a project and you are intimately involved from beginning to end, and then you see it all come together and you see it, you see people react to it, let's say. I don't think there's any better feeling out there than to see this came from Peter's brain, and Gerard helped put it together on screen, and then Joseph, you kind of directed the whole thing. I mean, with all the team that was involved with it, I mean, it's got to be, like I said, it's got to be kind of a cool experience to see everybody, kind of reacting to it, I guess, from like if your brain to the screen, right?
Yeah, I'm just always stressed, so I'm more. I'm still a little stressed out about the movie.
You come to it from a little different angle, right?
Yeah, I'm just stressed out, and I'm the realist of the group, I think. So sure. I'm like, or the negative person, as Gerard would say. So yeah, I mean, it's really great, and it's awesome to see. Like it's streaming now on Tubi, so that's really cool. Yeah. That's a great experience. People sending us pictures, and I know Gerard and Pete have felt the same way, like getting pictures from someone. Even someone that like I didn't expect, like a guy that I haven't talked to in 5 years sends me a picture. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Sure.
So and that fact is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Gerard, I'll turn to you on the all those great awards you guys have gotten, and all three of you have been a part of all that. And talk about submitting stuff to be screened at film festivals and to have the success from it, because the ones that you guys have been in, I mean, up here in the Northeast, these are big ones. These are big, film festivals. And so talk about, how that was to get awards. I mean, just to walk up and get that award.
Yeah, it was really cool, especially Kevin Smith's Modcastle Films Festival when that actor nominees came out, and he goes, Gerard Garilli, dress code. And I was like, wow, like Kevin Smith just said my name and like
cool.
knows about me or dress code. So that was probably, and I didn't win that award, but just to be nominated was a enormous, phenomenal honor. So that was a really gratifying feeling. And I remember at the Jersey Shore Film Festival, probably like 4 minutes in, I'm sitting with my wife and I get a text from Pete and he goes, yeah, bro, we did that. Like, and I was just like, and we had, I think, 200 seats filled at Count Basie in Red Bank, which was like,
oh, I love that theater.
Yeah, I still get the chills. And then like, I remember we had like our first like screening last year in November, and afterwards, I think people like were just swarming us and just saying like, oh my God, what a movie. I didn't know what to expect. Like that was unbelievable. And to hear that from people, especially going into it, just more of like, yeah, I like Pete, Joe, and Gerard. I'm going to support those guys. They're pretty cool guys. I see they're driven. So they're probably like, it's going to be an okay film. They didn't know what to expect, but I believe, and actually, I know that people were really, really impressed, and they really felt moved. And that's why I'm in this business, man, to move audiences and to make people feel inspired, and to inspire myself to continue to do what I do and keep getting better.
Absolutely. And that's well said. And, you mentioned something that kind of hit home, because I had a couple things in film festivals, but when you go to these film festivals, you really don't know what you're going to get. You really goes a lot of avant-garde type movies and films and noir, that type of thing. But, when you sit down and you watch a film, like I had several moments when I was watching a film festival in, I think it was Tacoma, Washington, and just the talent out there. I mean, that just some of these features and some of the shorts, even just amazing, just the talent is amazing, and what they can do with so little as far as a budget goes. And that's what that's one of the reasons, again, like why I have this show, because you don't need a huge set. You don't need, trailers. You don't need necessarily a craft service table. And, I think a lot of people go into this business thinking it's all glitz and glamour and egos and everything else. And a lot of it, what the camera doesn't see doesn't exist, as we all know.
So true.
You don't need all that, and so just put a great story on the screen and have it come across and be able to affect people like that without a huge budget. That's really what it's all about. It's storytelling, right? I mean, and you guys did a great job. And I really want, Peter, when it comes to, I just want you to kind of explain to our listeners a little bit about the, without giving the whole thing away, a little bit about the storyline and, what they can expect when they watch the dress code.
Yeah. So Dress Code starts off in 1990s Jersey, and it follows the life of young Bobby Russo, who's growing up in a North Jersey Italian family. Dad's kind of a knockaround guy in the mob, not a big wig, not a grunt, but just kind of a middle management sort of guy, not too happy with his life. Bobby grows up with his father, his uncle, who's also in the mob, and a very loving mother. His father's a really tough, scary guy. Bobby, very street smart, very school smart. But he's got some personal things. He's still working out. He's a 13-year-old, 14-year-old boy who's still figuring out who they are as a person, emotionally, physically, sexually, and he grows up to be part of this life. And how much he wants to be a part of it, or whether he has a choice to be a part of it, is kind of locked in the story. It's kind of a battle between being true to who you are versus being true to how you're raised. How far can you go in a life that would never be willing to accept who you are? How do you figure out who you are when you have no one to talk to about it, no one to confide in about it? And all these questions are kind of answered. It's about family, it's about relationships, and it's about self-truths. And what we try to do is take a concept that people who love organized crime films and the films we grew up on would really enjoy, and connect it to a new up-and-coming genre that other people can, if not relate to, then at least find themselves within them to explore for a couple hours.
I found the uncle to be a fascinating character as well, because he was struggling between, being right for the dad, but also trying to protect the kid. So I thought that was a great character, and just did a fabulous job with portraying that. And so that, kudos to you guys on that one as well. So
Frank was played by Uncle Rocco was played by Frank Oso, who I think his first first feature film in a starring role, and he was just absolutely perfect. One of the first guys to actually audition for it, and it was just one of those things, you saw him audition and you were like, I don't know, maybe I don't know what role he's playing, but he's in the movie,
right?
And we'll curtail the character a little bit around him if we have to, but
I thought his character was powerful. Wonderful. I thought it was, and I thought it really added to the film. And and then Joseph, as a director, this is your first film, you said directing. So do you have the bug to do it a lot more? I mean, is this what you want to do? Do you want to be in front of the camera, behind the camera? But it sounds like, with what I saw here, you're just fantastic as a director. So thank
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. What's your future there?
Not big for the in front of the camera stuff. Although I like my Hitchcock-esque cameos. But no, absolutely. I think this is something that I definitely want to pursue. I want to continue doing this. We have some projects kind of that we're working out right now, working on some funding. So yeah, we definitely want to move forward. I mean, Pete and I, we grew up together. So Pete and I, we know each other longer than we don't know each other. So we've always been on the same page when it comes to this stuff. And then, bringing Gerard into this, or Gerard bringing us into this for dress code, it just worked out. So, I mean, we want to keep doing this. We want to keep moving forward with it. This was a huge learning experience. I think there's a lot that we learned. We need a few hours to talk about all the things that we maybe did wrong, and it still somehow worked out. Yeah. So yeah, no, definitely something I think we're all definitely into continuing on with.
It's a medium you have to continue doing, because if we don't do it,
right,
it's no one else is really doing it right now. And we went to the lucky enough to get into Kevin Smith's Smodcastle Film Festival. Someone asked him a question when he was doing one of his legendary Q&As. Someone asked him a question about like what he felt about the state of indie films, and less films than ever got purchased at Sundance this year, and the overall state of the indie business. And he had, to me, such a great answer. And he just said, what else are you going to do? Yeah. I mean, what we do, just none of us make films ever. So no, you make your film, go rent out some theaters, go, rent out do some ads and, social media ads and locations, get some people there, make some money, submit it to the big festivals, see if you get in. If not, you just tour around a little bit, get people to come, get some money from there, and go make another film. What else?
I'll make another one.
Yeah, I mean,
artists
with indie films, I think there's a lot. If you look at the Golden Globes and you look at the Oscars, there's always one or two that sneak in. That are really low budget. That end up winning, or get nominated. And think about that. Think about your film getting, even just the word nomination behind it is incredible. It's like a win, right there. So that's a great, I think, goal to strive for. And I mean, just the fact that you guys won so many of these film festivals, I mean, that's incredible. I've submitted many and got into a couple small ones, but I've never had the success that you guys have had. And so I really applaud you for that, because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you put it in. And so then for our listeners out there, that's the advice I think that we can all give you is just make it, do it, don't sit on it. Don't think, hey, I want to do this. Just go ahead and do it. Like we said before, use your phone if you have to. Before we go, I always ask this of every guest. So I'm going to go around the room. So I'm going to start with you, Peter, because you're on the upper left. So I'm just going to go clockwise here. But Peter, when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave behind with your body of work to your fans out there?
I want to leave, if I leave any legacy.
No pressure on this.
That's a very good question.
I want, first and foremost, and Joe and I grew up on this. I've always been a lover of independent film. It's always been the other love of my life outside my family. Love independent film, will always support it. What I want to do with my legacy is try to show anyone who is trying to get into this business that you can be multifaceted. You can write a rom-com, then write a mob drama. You can write a Western, then write a trial jury movie. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't keep doing the same thing. Keep challenging yourself to write different stuff. And you're going to be shocked with what you can come up with when you allow yourself to be more creative.
Yeah, that's great. That's well said. Joseph, how about you?
Yeah, I would say take chances. Like I said, directing, it's something that Pete knows that I've always had in the back of my brain, and I had to push myself because I wasn't comfortable with it. I was, I wasn't in my comfort zone when it came up. Maybe I should direct it, and you just have to push yourself and just take a chance. I mean, it's worked out. I mean, we're so proud, I think, all of us, of this film. and we want this to, I think we did such a good job with what we had for this film that we'd like to use it and continue to make more films. Just keep making films, keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are doing that. Gerard, how about you?
I think I just want to be in film. Like I was watching, I showed my wife last On the Waterfront, watched that. And it's like, what year was that movie made? 54.
I want to say it was filmed in Hoboken too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm watching that. Right. And I'm like, this movie is still relevant and it's still as powerful as ever. And I think I just want to continue to make films and be in films that leave a legacy years after, and just, continue to blossom and continue to grow and continue to learn and just, be the best version of myself, whether I'm off screen producing or whether I'm on screen acting, and just continue to make good films and just have them leave legacy years later, like cult classics. There's not like a good cult classic. I mean, we can go back and forth and just give an encyclopedia of amazing films that are just timeless, and they have such a great impact and an amazing legacy. And that's what I would love to, be a part of and continue to do.
Well, you guys are all doing a fantastic job. And again, congratulations on the success of your film. And it doesn't end here. I mean, it's on Tubi, but you never know what's going to happen next. Who else is going to pick it up? So it's amazing. And to just keep us informed, so we can push it on our social media sites. And I'd like to have you guys back at some point as well. So again, congratulations on your success, and the best to you in your future. And like I said, you're always welcome back on the show. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Dave, thank you so much.